The government in my country has said that Naksibendi Hakkani Tarikat is a deviation from real Islam. I have just taken bayah and I'm confused. Is this true?
It's true. Of course it's not true. Those who are Wahhabi minded, they're going to say Tasawwuf and Tarikat is a deviation from Islam. It did not happen this time only, or in this country, or in this century. It's happened through all the century. From the beginning of Islam, anyone who is teaching Tasawwuf, Tarikat, what you call Sufism, the others, they're not understanding because their faith and their level is not there, and they say this deviation, and they say this is wrong. Let me go further than that. When Prophet ﷺ passed, Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu an, who was the closest companion to the Prophet ﷺ, which, being close to the Prophet and almost always with the Prophet ﷺ, he had access to so much knowledge that the Prophet has. Not only he has access, but the Prophet ﷺ said, whatever Allah has put in my heart, I pour into the heart of Abu Bakr. Pour into the heart of Abu Bakr Siddiq. Yet, when we look at the collection of the hadiths, Hazrat Abu Bakr collected only the hadiths that came from him. It's only a handful. And is dealing with Sharia matters. How can it be that the closest companion, who has spent his whole lifetime, that Prophet said, whatever knowledge Allah has put in my heart, I pour into the heart of Abu Bakr Siddiq, meaning Hazrat Abu Bakr, his heart contained the prophetic knowledge and the light and the wisdom and everything that Allah has put. How can he come up with only a few hadiths? What happened to all the rest? This is what happened to all the rest. He burnt them. Whatever hadith knowledge that he got and he wrote down, he burnt them. When his daughter asked, "Oh my father, why are you burning all this knowledge?" He's saying, if the Sahabis, don't forget now, this is the time of the Prophet, right after he passed. We're not talking about Wahhabi governments or organizations or common Muslims. We're talking about the Sahabi Kiram. And Hazrat Abu Bakr is saying, if the Sahabis were to know what I know, they would cut my neck off. Of course, it's not meaning the higher level Sahabis who had access to this spiritual knowledge too. The Hazrat Abu Huraira, Hazrat Ali, Hazrat Usman, all the rest of the Hazrat Abu Zar. It's talking about all the other ones. We're not now going to sit and judge to say this one is higher, this one is lower, this is good, this is bad. No, we're not Shia. We say all of them, they are blessed, they have different stations, and we can never come close to them, let alone to judge them. But Hazrat Abu Bakr is saying openly, if they know what I know, they're going to cut my neck off. Same thing the Hazrat Abu Huraira did also. If they know what I know, they're going to cut my neck off. So, which means what? Which means that if they know what I know, they're going to say that I'm out of Islam, and they will kill me for it. Hazrat Abu Bakr is saying this. Hazrat Abu Huraira is saying this. And that had continued from that time through every century. Everyone, especially the scholars who are knowing everything about Islam but the Zahir Islam, just the shell of the Islam, they don't understand the meat. They're going to say this is shirk, this is bid'at, this is wrong, this is this, this is that. Hujjatul Islam, Imam al-Ghazali, Hujjatul Islam, the proof of Islam. Before he started taking a sheikh and learning from a sheikh and learning tasawwuf, he knew everything about Islam, Shariat, the shell, the protection. We're not putting down Shariat also. Shariat is important. Shariat dictates that the man has to have a beard. We have a beard. Shariat dictates that a man has to cover his head, especially with a turban. We're wearing that. We're doing everything that Shariat, as much as we can, we are carrying it too. We're not looking down on it. But we're saying it is not the be-all. It is not the everything. Shariat is not everything, but Islam is. The hadith of Jibreel alayhi salam, Islam, Iman and Ihsan. A faith is three. Tasawwuf is falling into Ihsan. Doing everything as if we're seeing Allah. And if we don't see Allah, Allah sees us. Ihsan means to beautify, isn't it? To have perfection, to have sincerity, the completion of your faith. Islam deals with the actions, the do's and the don'ts. Iman deals with the belief. Now Ihsan is the another factor. The secret knowledge that the friends of Allah, who are the inheritors of the Prophet, they may also be scholars, by the way, that they have, that they will teach to perfect, to beautify your faith. Without that, it is not perfected. Hujjatul Islam, Imam al-Ghazali, he knew everything, but he realized that he has a crisis of faith. He knew knowledge, but he lost his faith until he started learning and sitting and being with the Salihin, as the Quran, ayat of the Quran is saying, until he started studying with the Ahli Tasawwuf. Then he started to become Hujjatul Islam. And he wrote the revival of the Deen, Ihya Umuluddin. He wrote, and up till, from that time up till today, it became a solid foundation for Islam, for the Ahlul Sunnah Aqidah. Without that, it was always going to be off balance. Yunus Amre is a poet. He was a dervish who served his Shaykh for over 40 years, just carrying wood from the forest and bringing back. Years he was doing that. He was not sitting, eating, joking with the Shaykh. He was not making zikr even with the Shaykh. He was just making service. And now murids forget about making service. They don't do service. They get sick and tired of Dergah. Sick and tired of this life. Allah Allah. But you know Zamre, because he submitted to his Shaykh, and with that submission it comes so much joy, so much love. That difficulty, because he accepts it, comes with so much faith and so much joy, that he was in the mountains while he was collecting wood. He was talking to the flowers, he was talking to the birds, he was talking to the fish, he was talking to everything. They were speaking to him and he was speaking back. He had so much karamat. He started writing poetry, praising Allah, praising the Prophet, praising his Shaykh. He had so much karamat that one day when he was traveling, it was him, no? He was traveling with he met some dervish. And nighttime falls. The dervish just opened their hands and says, Ya Rabbi, we are in your hands, provide for us. And a miracle happened and food came to them. This is real, this is true, and it happens. It happened to Shah Effendi. Hazrati Joshua, who is this? From Yusha alayhi salam. Our Shah was at his tomb, and the food came from an unseen hand from behind him, providing the food from Hazrati Yusha alayhi salam. These things still happen, but it requires a lot of training, it requires a lot of faith, not to have doubt, not to have spoiled, not to say, oh, I don't like this, I like this. Complete submission. That time, everything will crack open and you'll see the reality, how this world is spinning. So the dervish asked, Ya Rabbi, provide for us. Food was given. It appeared. The dervish and Yunus Emre started eating. Alhamdulillah. The next night, the other dervish asked. Food suddenly appeared again. The third night, they turned to Yunus Emre. Yunus Emre, he didn't think he was an awliya. Now so many coming to tarikats thinking they're awliya. So many just because they're making a couple of zikr, they think they're awliya. Some having dreams a little bit here and there, they think they're such high level. They go around telling people, I'm high level. I make zikr everywhere. Some, just because they have some sort of vision, then they think that they are somewhere. Shaitan plays tricks with you. Don't. Easily look how a sheikh and how the ones that he has trained, how they live, how they speak, how they handle such matters, follow them. Any deviation that you take, it will bring you to disaster that time. Because now Dajjal is everywhere and is tricking especially the Ahli Tarikat people. But Yunus Emre, so much miracles he had, he never thought that he was anyone. So those two dervishes, they said, yeah, they said, now, because they are very humble people, they don't go saying, introducing themselves. No, they don't speak too much too. They said, now you pray for us. We've come, we prayed before for Allah to send us rizq, sustenance, and Allah answered our prayers. Now you pray. Maybe we will get something better. Now Yunus Emre, he started shivering. And he said, these are such high-level murids, high-level dervishes. That time, in the murids, everyone was able to make miracles. Now it's all gone because the heart is filled just with dunya and pleasing your ego non-stop. What you want, your pleasure, non-stop. So, Yunus Emre then opened his hands, saying, now I'm in trouble. He says, Ya Rabbi, for the sake of that saint that they asked for, because the dervishes, they never ask Allah directly. They never go direct to the Prophet. They ask for the sake of this saint, for the sake of that saint, for the sake of this wali, help us. Allah, help us for the sake of this beloved one to you. So Yunus Emre opened his hand and he says, Ya Rabbi, for the sake of the saint that they asked, for his sake, the sake of the saint that they asked for, that you gave them, for that same saint, provide us something. The sky opened and a heavenly table came. And heavenly food came. The dervishes were shocked because they say they've never seen such a miracle before. They say, you must be a big awliya, they say, for Allah to favor you so much. They started eating. They finished. Now they say, now reveal to us, please, which saint did you ask for the sake of that Allah gave you so much? Yunus Emre, he couldn't lie. He didn't know which saint because he didn't ask for that saint directly. He doesn't even know that saint's name. He says, these two, they asked for the sake of that saint. That one I'm asking, Ya Rabbi, provide. So he said, before I reveal, you say which saint it is. They said, well, we've heard of one very holy one. We've never seen him before. And we ask for the sake of Yunus Emre. And those two did not know they were traveling with Yunus Emre. Why did they achieve such high level? Because there's complete submission. Submission means good and the bad, the sweet and the bitter, the easy and the difficult, the rose and the thorn of the rose. Because it comes from you, Alhamdulillah. Not just to say, I like the rose, I don't like the thorn. What is that? So, Zamre, he wrote poems, and in the poetry that he wrote, praising so much Holy Prophet ﷺ, praising his Shaykh, praising the awliya Allah, there's so many things there that the normal people, when they see, they're going to say, this is wrong. But he also wrote that in his poem. In fact, he wrote certain other things that later they discovered to be true. Sometime later, there was one mullah. Mullah? The Sharia type, scholar type people who don't have too much spirituality. He was in charge of a library, and the library was keeping the poems of Zamri, the original. So he took it, he read, he says, what? Saying this about awliya Allah, saying this about man, giving him some attributes of this, says this is shirk. So he was sitting by the river, he was reading the poem of Zamre, the collection. He says this is shirk. He tear it, he throw it into the water. He read, says this is also shirk. Oh, throw it into the water. He read, says this is bigger shirk. He started tearing hundreds of thousands of poems, throwing it into the water. Finally, he came to one poem, and that poem is saying, and this is addressed to you, O Mullah Qasim, that you sit and you judge me saying that I commit shirk. That's the time he dropped the book, he got shocked, and he says, Astaghfirullah. What a great one, beloved one of Allah. This is talking to me years later. But now all the poems, they are lost. Awliya Allah, they are saying the poems, the ilahis, they are brought to the ocean. And the fishes, they are singing the ilahis of Zamre. He was praised so much by Jalaluddin Rumi, Qaddasallahu Sir, that we are entering into his Mawlid time of Hazrati Rumi. Hazrati Rumi is saying, whenever I move to one station higher, I see the footprints of Zamre. Whenever I rise, I see the footprints of Zamre. So Ahli Tarikat, they've always been misunderstood. They've always been labeled as deviants. They've always been labeled as being out of Islam. But it's clear. Just look. If they are carrying the Shariat and the Tarikat, they're okay. If they're just carrying the Tarikat without the Shariat, put a big question mark there. Definitely. Those groups that is carrying both, it's okay. Are we carrying both? Alhamdulillah, with the blessings of our Shaykh, we're doing that. Are we getting criticism from people? Yes, from both. Why you do too much zikr, and why you are wearing too much sunnah. From both sides, they're saying. So, it's okay. Don't get confused. Because now, religion, especially if it's official, if there is official stamp of approval, to know in this Akhir Zaman, officiality means there's a big question mark there. If the newspapers endorse you officially, put a question mark there. This world recognizes you, this world right now, from regimes to media to celebrity status to internet. If they approve you, if they boost you, if they encourage you, put a question mark there. Because real Islam, from the beginning up till now, always they are running to destroy it, to put it under their feet. If the enemies of Islam is boosting, there must be something wrong. So, don't be confused. Inshallah Rahman, we are just trying to be the humble servants of Allah, to be sincere. Salam.